is dead. People often ask, where was William Wallace at the Battle of Bannockburn? No one knows where he was. 1297, William Wallace got a great victory here against the English at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. The Wallace Monument sits up here to this day. He captured the castle. It's a huge moment for the Scots. He was defeated a year later at Falkirk, which is about 12 miles south of this river. And in 1305, he was betrayed. He was captured. He was taken to England. He was tried. He was executed within 20 days. His head was removed from his body. His body was cut up into 4 pieces. 2 of them went to the north of England. 1 piece went to Perth, and the other piece was stuck on Stirling Bridge as a warning to anyone who would mess with the English kings. And 6 months later, that's exactly what Robert Bruce did. So William Wallace is gone. The Braveheart film, as entertaining as it is nonsense. Stirling Castle that they fought for in 1314 was much smaller than the wooden, it was a wooden building. You'll be visiting it today, I imagine? Yes?
Yes.
It's a fabulous castle to visit, but not the same one. Much, much smaller. Inside at the time of the battle was 60 English soldiers, and in charge of them is a Scottish nobleman. The black line that you can see there is actually a road. It's a Roman road. Roads improve the speed of armies, and the same is true to this day. The English are going to appear here in red. The Scots are waiting for them on the road in yellow. Now, if roads speed armies up, rivers will slow them down. This is the Bannockburn. As the Bannockburn heads to the east, this part of it is called the Great Ditch. The sides of that are 40 feet high. That's a major obstacle to go over. The Bannockburn stretches down here. It met the Pearl Stream River that has all but disappeared underground nowadays. But the two of them joined up with the River Forth, and they flowed out to the sea. There was a ford here at St. Ninians. Fords are shallow river crossings. You will get wet, but you don't need a bridge to go over. And that ford would have been 10 minutes march to our north. This ford is still 10 minutes march to the south at Milton, leaving all of us here where the Scottish army camped. So the English are going to be in red, the Scots are going to be in yellow. If you get questions while I'm talking, you just shout out. I do not mind being interrupted. Bearing in mind, people that tell you that are liars. Does anybody want to ask a question before I begin? No?
Asking if you have a question.
Good. Fast forward. 10 minutes to tell you about the Battle of Bannockburn. Here we go. The English army were moving quickly through Scotland to reach Stirling. Along the Roman road, the Scots are destroying crops, they're killing livestock, they've poisoned the water wells. Edward's army, when they reach the Bannockburn, are now tired, hungry and thirsty. But they can see Stirling Castle in the distance. The siege is technically broken. And the man in charge, Philip Mowbray, was allowed through the Scottish army to tell the King of England, "Congratulations, sire, you've won. You don't need to fight." He was wrong. The King of England needed to fight. He needed to kill this man, Robert the Bruce, and he got his chance early on the 23rd of June, 1314. Robert stood at the front of his army. It's a dangerous place for him to be, but the Scots have prepared the ground. Either side of the road, pits were dug, 3 foot deep, sharpened wooden stakes in them. And this means the English are denied a mass charge towards Robert, and they start to head east. But young Henry de Bohun and his men do not. They charged up the narrow Roman road. They attacked the children of Robert Bruce. And after a big fight, Henry de Bohun spots Robert out in the open. He charges towards him on his war horse. 20 feet from Robert, as he's been trained to do his whole life, he lowers his lance, aiming it right at the King of Scotland's heart. And what happens next? You witnessed out there. Robert kills him, one blow of his axe. Meanwhile, English knights ford the Bannockburn here. Keeping Balkiderick Ridge to their left, they charge towards St. Ninians. Now, they could be trying to get back onto the road. I believe they were trying to split Robert from his army. We don't know. We know the ford at St. Ninians is watched by Thomas Randolph. He's Robert's nephew. He and his spear division were told, don't let the English army past, but don't face a mixture of the cavalry and the archers together. This is bad news for the Scots, but the archers were away at the back of the English army. So Randolph and his men are still facing 400 heavy cavalry. But Thomas Randolph is a man who recaptured Edinburgh Castle from the English. He marched his spear division out onto the flat ground. They formed the Shiltron, the spear wall, and the English cavalry attacked them head on. A couple of the knights are captured, but now the Scots are subjected to wave after wave of cavalry charge. But the beauty of that Shiltron spear division, before your enemy get near you, they must get past at least 6 spear points, and these men are trained and they're battle hardened. Dust get kicked up, you can see him for miles. You can picture Randolph in the middle of his men, shouting encouragement, telling them to close the gaps and to keep going. The English knights ended up throwing clubs and axes, and they still couldn't break through. They retreated back. The Scots returned to the fort exhausted, but as heroes. But now the Scots are in trouble. The entire English army, 20,000 men, are here, and they are ready to take the fight to Robert the next day. Not that they expect him to be there. English army far too big for the Scots to take on. So commanders in it were making plans to hunt Robert and his men down. For this they would need rest and need water, and in between the Pearl Stream and the Bannockburn is where they camped to get it. The area of ground there is known as the Carse. It's fertile land, wet land. As English move across, it gets churned up, becomes very unpleasant. The mood, the morale of the English soldiers is terrible, and as the night fell, a Scottish nobleman still fighting on the English side, Alexander Seaton, sneaked away and rejoined his countrymen. And he told Robert Bruce this English army were badly led, and it would be a great opportunity to defeat them. I believe when the English camped between the two rivers, Robert was always going to fight a second game. But he now gives a very important command: no prisoners. Normally, you capture rich men, you sell them back alive, and you make fortunes. But the Shiltrons can't have men leaving gaps behind, because English cavalry would tear right through them. So Robert says, kill everyone until we're sure of victory. In the early hours of the 24th of June, 1314, the Scots marched to these woods at Balkiderick Ridge and down onto the flat ground of the Carse. They immediately kneel in prayer, and the King of England is delighted to see this. He actually turned to the knight next to him and he said, look, the Scots are on their knees begging for mercy. They don't want to fight. As the Scots advanced into battle formation, the knight replies, I don't think so, sire. These men look determined to win or die. And only then do the English realise the danger. Rivers now are hemming them in. They are going to have to smash the spear wall. They're going to use their superior numbers. But they couldn't do it in the first day. And the Earl of Gloucester was ridiculed and called a coward for urging caution. Unfairly, in my opinion. But he charged into the battle because he was a proud young man. And at the age of 23, he was killed upon the spears of Robert the Bruce's men. And Robert the Bruce was his brother-in-law. Meanwhile, the English are getting pushed back slowly, step by step, towards their own camp by the Shiltron spear divisions. From the English point of view, chaos. Archers, men who can damage children on the worst ground at the back. They're hemmed in by the rivers. They can't move forward. They became bystanders for long periods of the battle. And the King of England, who had been so confident when he arrived, is now watching in horror. He is getting closer and closer to the front line, and he will have to defend his own life. But this push by the Scots has exposed their flank, allowing, we believe, the Welsh archers, the greatest archers in Europe, the chance to form up and to rain death on the Shiltrons. These men could have turned the tide of the battle, but Robert's cavalry come charging down the slope and chase the Welsh archers from the field. But the Scots are tiring, facing huge odds against them. Their attack starts to falter. Robert enters the battle. He reinforces his front line with the men for the west coast and for the Isles. The attack, if anything, became even more ferocious than before. The Scots charge into the battle, stabbing, skewering, slaughtering, everything in their path. It's like a steamroller of spear points. And finally, the English resistance crumbles, and they try to get away by recrossing the Bannockburn. But the river slowed them, the Scots caught them, and the killing goes on and on. English troops are drowned, they're stabbed, crushed, suffocated. So many of them die that the Bannockburn starts to turn red, and you can walk across it without getting your feet wet by standing on the dead English bodies. Edward's arm was broken. If he stays, he's going to be captured or killed. By all accounts, the King of England had fought bravely, and he was furious as two trusted bodyguards did their job and dragged him by the reins of his horse towards